Welcome everybody to this is episode 8 of the Bughead podcast. We got a repeat guest right here, Domino. What's up? How you doing?
What's up? I'm good.
So you got an album coming out real soon. What date?
June 12th. So, real soon.
June 12th.
Yeah.
So yeah, in like under a month.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like, what is that?
Almost 3 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, 3 weeks about.
Yeah, 3 weeks, yeah.
So this album went through some name changes.
Yeah.
The first time you came onto the podcast, you were saying it was called Jihad. Now it's called Voodoo. What's up with the change?
Yeah, so, I think many people will know that my original Instagram got taken down. And I was never given a reason for that. And I assumed that they were just, I had jihad, which is a word associated with, violence and extremism. That wasn't the intention. The intention was, like, jihad means a spiritual struggle. And I don't think that flew well on the guidelines, and I realized that I didn't really want to associate myself with like political extremism. So yeah, I kind of went back to think about what would be a better name, a more fitting name.
The actual Arabic meaning of that word is going to be lost on anybody who like is not
despite
relatively
my
educated on that.
Yeah, I realized it just didn't fit either. Yeah.
So why'd you go with Voodoo? I know it's another track on the album. We'll get into the track list and talk about individual songs in a little bit, but why'd you end up going with Voodoo?
Yeah, well, I still wanted to keep the spiritual aspect. I feel like this album is very spiritual. A lot of the songs come from the soul. A lot of the sounds, I'm trying to capture an experience, and it feels very spiritual. And so what I was thinking about is just another kind of religion where things are. Hold on, let me redo this. Let me think about this. Yeah, let me think. Oh yeah, that's another thing. All right. So the music in and of itself has been inspired by my experience with psychedelics as well. We talked about that in the last podcast, I think. But when I have been on psychedelics, it's been a very spiritually awakening experience, and just all of that I wanted to capture. And when I'm tripping as well, the visuals that I get in my mind are interpreted as like voodoo, as like something is, a spell is being casted on me or something, and like my entire environment is being changed. And yeah, so when I reference voodoo in the album, it's both my spiritual experience with the music and the hallucinatory experience with LSD. So yeah.
All right, I guess we can. Do you want to just like hop into the track list and go one by one and talk about each song?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. So speaking of that title track, Voodoo, has the only feature on the album with Televangelist. How was working with Televangelist on that song?
I love Televangelist. I love him. We have been. Well, actually, we first met at Night of Fire.
Mm-hmm.
We just didn't really know each other. He hit me up right after that and was like, "Hey, if you want any shows in New York, please hit me up. Like, I got you." And I was like, "All right, cool, thank you." But later on, when I was working on starting Omni Mortem, he was one of the people that submitted, and that's how we kind of linked up. And so for about a year and a half, we'd just been working together, sharing opinions. We went on tour together. Um, and so by the end of all of that, like we got this really awesome track out together, and it's beautiful. I'm very proud of it. Towards like the bridge, that's when Dorian comes in, but um, I did a lot of like vocal manipulation, like format shifting and stuff like that. So most of it is my voice at the beginning, and then Dorian comes in, uh, and then we trade vocals in that bridge section.
Definitely like played with the voice in that song is another instrument on top of that. It's not like you have like a beat that you're like spitting over. It's part of the song.
I
It's
love
part
that
of
you
this
said
like
that.
this wave. A lot of this album, it feels like I'm just getting like hit with like waves and walls of noise, and I don't necessarily mean that in like a violent way. Sometimes it's comforting, sometimes it's eerie, but it's always like I'm getting like
Mm-hmm.
smothered, and the blanket that's smothering, especially in Voodoo, the voice like just folds into everything else perfectly.
Yeah, I love that you said that because that's spot on what I was going for. I wanted on the entire album the voice to be another instrument instead of just, you know, me saying something over a beat. I want it to be an experience. When I choose the sounds, I'm very selective on like where they sound or like how they sound in a space. Like I use a lot of different reverb techniques and uh just anything that will create an environment rather than just, oh, I'm listening to a song.
Yeah, there seems to be like a focus on creating a space that you can exist in on a lot of this album.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if
If
you
you
want
want
I
to just
can
like talk about the song and like elaborate on the
elaborate on
song,
the
yeah,
song
that
more.
that works.
Yeah, I got you. All right. Yeah, so originally the first track, Voodoo, was nowhere near what it sounds like finished now. Um, at the beginning of the song, there's a quote from a Coldplay song, actually, 42.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Martin says, "Those who are dead are not dead, they're just living in my head." And my mom used to listen to Coldplay, and I would hear that song all the time, and I would think, damn, that's sick. Like, that's dope. But now it has more of a meaning to me, just about like with my struggles with like adapting to the world and feeling different and stuff like that. But yeah, I felt like it was necessary to have that at the beginning, to introduce people to what they're about to experience. Um, I wanted it to be strong. I wanted it to feel like you're falling into this into just like light and color, but also just like I wanted it to feel primal, if
Yeah,
that makes sense. So the bass is just hitting you while there's this eerie atmosphere underneath it. Um, Throughout the entire album, I didn't want anything to be too flashy. I wanted to honor sound, if
yeah,
that makes sense. Um, so like the instruments, like the drums and stuff like that, they're so simple. Um, because I wanted to showcase every sound. I didn't want to overstimulate the audience with just like a bunch of crazy shit happening. I wanted everything to just be honored and everything to be absorbed in its own way. So, yeah. you can hear that in that song where like it evolves into so many different um you know sections.
I feel like
Yeah, you good.
I've mentioned like some of the experimentation you have on that. The song still feels rooted in many parts in like southern hip hop. It sounds like you talked a lot in the first episode about how you still like appreciate a lot of
Mm-hmm.
uh popular music, and I can tell that like you're including what you like from popular music into something that sounds nothing like it.
Yeah, dude, you're awesome. I'm glad like you've caught on to this stuff without like this is the first time we're talking about it, but it's funny that you say that because the way I wanted to deliver my vocals was like
I can
inspired
tell, yeah.
by Boosie on
I'm
Set It Off.
maybe I wouldn't like
Yeah,
have immediately
dude.
gone to Boosie, but
Yeah.
that like sound, that era, like I can hear that influence in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny cuz he's from Louisiana and like Louisiana has a lot of, voodoo culture and stuff like that. I felt like it fit and yeah, it's funny you say that. Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention about that song as well is uh there's so much like delay, like the effect delay, where like things are kind of echoing through your head, I guess, if you're listening to it. Um, like with the arps and with the hi hats and stuff like that, and that's another thing that I tried to utilize on this entire album is just like the disorientation of something just like constantly repeating and echoing through your brain so that it kind of has an effect on it.
That's where I was coming from when I was like saying like it almost feels like I'm being hit with like waves of sound, where it's like very much like that delay and that reverb like
Yeah.
kind of just continues to like even after the sounds happen wash over you and like keep you in that space.
Yeah.
So do you want to
Yeah,
move
yeah.
on to
Definitely what I was going for, yeah.
the what was originally the title track, Jihad?
Yeah.
That one's already out,
That's
right?
personally one of my favorites for a lot of
Oh
different
shit,
reasons.
yeah.
It is, yeah. It's got a music video and everything. I feel like it had to be the second track uh, just because, like, it still holds its, like, meaning to me. It doesn't, like, fully represent what I'm going for, but I still believe that jihad is a spiritual, personal experience rather than violence. But yeah, so that song kind of opens up with this detuned bass booming through, and then like this. It's so hard to describe like this
Yeah.
soundscape. That's what I'm gonna describe it as.
And then you have that interlude, that sample from "Look at Your Game Girl" by Charles Manson tucked away in the middle there.
Dude, you're fucking amazing, bro. You're fucking amazing.
I know shit, dude.
You're
I'm
yeah.
an academic.
I'm so fucking glad because like it's people like you that I want to truly hear what I'm going for. You know what I'm saying?
What drove the choice to put a Manson quote in there?
Juxtaposition. Um, the other sample that is present throughout the song is a recitation from the Quran,
Mm-hmm.
which means, which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? And I've had the pleasure of reading and studying a lot of different religions, and hearing that stuck out to me the most out of all of the things that I've read, because God can be anything that you see it as, and for me, God is just the unknown, and the it's so hard to explain how it means to me is that the unknown is in control, and you have to be okay with approaching the unknown. So yeah, that's kind of what like the lyrics go over, is like my personal experience with feeling inadequate, the basic human condition, feeling like lost, not knowing where you belong in the world. And then it goes into the hook, which is set yourself free. If you think about it, you can come to me. Like, if you're ready to evolve, if you're ready to become, you can meet me here, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Um, and then it goes into like, we're children gone missing. I'm not fit for this sickness. Neurotic, filled with blisters. My coffin's less constrictive. Just describing, you know, everything that I think humans go through, just adversity and how to overcome it and stuff like that. In terms of the production, though, like I think a lot of this album is inspired by my experience going on tour. Because I didn't open. I had other artists open for me that were more into like the rave and EDM culture,
Yeah.
and I was just so enthralled by the community, because like we would go to different cities, and the people that were opening for us, they would have their setting, or their like community come in and watch us, and I don't know, it really shaped me differently. That's why there's such a switch from what happened on Nadir to what's happening now on Voodoo. Because I wanted everything to feel like a party as well, like a fucking evil witch party,
It
if
sounds
that
very
makes sense.
witchy.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't want it to be like this heavy metal, new metal experience that Nadir was, because I feel like Nadir, that's special to Nadir, but now it's like more uh, pop and rave and witch house oriented.
Nadir was like definitely a new metal album. While it did like take from like a lot of different places, if I had to
Mm.
assign one genre to it, it would be new metal. If I had to assign
Yeah.
one genre to Voodoo, that's like a really tough decision. But I do think it's probably a witch house album at the end of the day.
Yeah. Um, I agree with that,
Not saying that
because a
it
lot that's like
really.
what I was inspired by. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah. I can tell
Um,
that like what from what we talked about last time you're pulling from and putting on Voodoo. I'm not sure if that thought is like if I'm making sense there.
no, yeah. Well, I think in the same way that Nadir is new metal but isn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that this is Witch House, but also isn't, because yeah, I did pull a lot of inspiration from all of that, but when I go through and I listen to it, it's the same way. It's kind of like uncanny. It's like you hear hints of like so many different things, but you can't put your finger on one.
I mean, we were talking about with the Voodoo, the title track, like you were saying, like this sounds like a at the end, like this is kind of a witch house track, but it also sounds like a southern hip hop boosie track. Like
Yeah, or like Flume. I've had people tell me it sounds like
it sounds
Flume.
like Flume,
Like
huh?
like Flume, if Flume was dark.
I get what you mean. Yeah, it's like the whole thing's almost shoegazy too. Like there's just
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Like I said, like I wanted to just honor all different types of sound. Like I listen to so many different types of
yeah.
music. Um and not to sound like a fucking nerd, but like it's kind of insane how it's like 300 million years of evolution for us to, in the past 50 years be designing music like we are. It's never been like this throughout all of that time, and so like I feel like it's my duty as a musician to make sure I honor like all the things that you can do with just vibrations in air. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I get what you mean. It's like a celebration of everything you're into.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Celebration is good. Good word to describe that.
So, do you have anything else to say about jihad that you want to get off your chest?
Um, yeah, maybe one more thing. I think we were talking about like the
Yeah,
juxtaposition. I don't think I even got to
we might have gotten
explain
distracted. Yeah.
about that. Yeah, I get distracted pretty easily. But yeah, so I wanted to show the difference in where you can take emotion, if that makes sense, like where
Mm-hmm.
you can take your personal experience, because there's people, you know, who are jihadists who take their spiritual experience and turn it into violence, much like Charles
Yeah.
Manson did. I think like it kind of goes hand in hand because that motherfucker believes, like, dropped a bunch of acid and believed that like there's gonna be a fucking race war. Like, it doesn't matter, you know, what you believe in. How do I explain this?
It
Damn, bro.
matters.
I wish I
Yeah, it
sat down and
matters.
thought about this more.
How you act upon what you believe in.
It matters what you
Yeah.
cultivate. Well, yeah, like if you sit and think about dark things all the time, it's going to eventually
Mm-hmm.
become you. You know what I'm saying? And in order to, pull away from things like that, you have to cultivate the right things. So like I said in the lyrics, it's describing the human condition of just like being alienated, feeling, depressed, stuff like that. And if you just sit there and you let that cultivate, you're going to become everything you don't want to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, I wanted to showcase that aspect of my experience.
That's like the only good Charles Manson song.
I mean, he's got some bangers. He's
Like,
got some
okay,
fucking
like
bangers,
he's
bro.
got some pretty good. He's got some tracks. He's got some tracks. I mean, I don't think it's a debate here. You know, dude was a piece of shit, but
I think,
but
yeah,
look
yeah.
at
I think the dude. I just
yeah,
find him interesting. I don't. The same thing with like
yeah,
jihadists and like extremists, murderers of any sort. Like they not even me in particular. Like it grabs the attention
mm-hmm.
of the entire world. Like when Manson was going on trial, that shit was all over the fucking news. When we invaded the Middle East, just constantly on the news. When 9/11 happened, always on the news. Like, as sickening as violence is, like, it intrigues humanity. And like, I stand from an outside perspective and just observe. I don't take a certain position other than just like, nah, I don't fuck
Yeah.
with violence, you know?
All right. Do you want to move on to Fallen Angel? This one feels a little like lightweight compared to the two tracks that precede it.
Well, yeah, one of the things that I was focusing
Mm-hmm.
on, like I said, is just contrast. And so, after those two heavily hip hop inspired tracks, I wanted to just like give something new, give something fresh. It's more danceable.
Yeah, it's very. I don't mean this negatively, but it's got that repetition through the entire thing that makes it sound like it's dance music. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a dance track as opposed to a hip hop or a
yeah.
yeah
I
yeah
mean, that just goes back to what I was saying about when I was on tour. Like most of the acts were just like gabber. Like a lot of them were like gabber. A lot of them were like house. Um, and so yeah, I wanted to make a track honoring that. It's got the same, techniques that I use where you just like flood the space with reverb and delay and stuff like that to just create an intoxicating um, space in the mind. If that makes sense. Um, Also very witch house inspired.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not much to even say about that track other than like I just like the way that it sounds. Like
It's a good dance track.
it doesn't have a particular meaning. It's just like it's just creating the experience. You know what I'm saying? Not everything has to have like a meaning for
Mm-hmm.
me, I guess. That's why I have I guess we're about to go into the instrumental.
Enhanced interrogation
Yeah.
is
Completely stripped down.
that's
Like there's
it's
nothing.
really like stripped down and raw. It's just that drone with the drums behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can talk about that
That
one.
one feels like really cyberpunk, almost like it's a like for a stealth mission in a PS2 game that like never
Yeah.
came to America. You know, it's that one's
Yeah, yeah.
it's really simplistic, but it 100% puts me in a place, and like that place is crawling through an air vent, uh, in a scary base run by cyborgs with gas masks. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've had somebody tell me it's very Christopher Nolan, and
Yeah, yeah.
I went and watched Tenet like a month ago, and I was like, oh yeah, I can totally hear that. Um, but yeah, that song, I mean, it's called Enhanced Interrogation, which is like something that like a phrase that was used by the United States to uh, avoid the word torture.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, enhanced interrogation just kind of means torture, and that's why there's a lot of squeals and it's just supposed to be unsettling, and the best way for something to be unsettling is for it to
Mm-hmm.
surprise you in a way you weren't expecting, and yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. It's just like this tribal, almost like heartbeat type bass, and then these squeals over the top of them of distortion.
There's a decent amount of like American military imagery on here now. You got that the cover is a black and white, almost like a screen print of the
Yeah,
pentagram with the word voodoo over it. Then you have enhanced
yeah,
interrogation, and then the song All American. It even like I-85 North, that all like kind of fits into this uh
yeah.
American Secret Service um vibe that goes through a lot of the imagery in the album.
Yeah, I think it's just it's less of like towards the government. It's just like America as a whole from a different
Mm-hmm.
perspective, cuz like I said, I live in Alabama. I've grown up in Alabama, and very very American, very fucking pro America. Um and I've had a different perspective than others, I would say, in the scene. Um, Especially being an immigrant. Like I wasn't born in America. And so, yeah, I wanted to just showcase my personal experience and my perspective of what America is, and not just um towards the government
Yeah.
or the CIA
So
or the
okay, so
Pentagon.
you're
Yeah.
using that kind of imagery to like say like I'm talking about America right here, but it's about American culture as in America as a country as a whole, as opposed to one specific element of it.
Yeah, the American experience as a whole.
I was just gonna say, like, where are you from, if you don't mind me asking?
In Alabama?
No, I mean, like, you said you're an immigrant
Oh, yeah, I was born in Australia.
in Australia. Oh shit,
Yeah, yeah.
damn. Okay.
Yeah, Sydney, Australia.
How old were you when you moved here?
I was 4 years old. So, like I
Okay,
said, like I
so
grew up in
you grew up in
Alabama
Alabama.
in most of my cognitive life. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, I feel like when you are an immigrant or you're the product of immigration, like my dad's from Lebanon. He immigrated here when he was like 16.
mm,
Your perspective on the country kind of changes a little bit as opposed to if you were like homegrown and bred in America with
yeah,
like and my he came here when he was a teenager, so he was pretty Americanized when I was born. But like you still have, I still had like Arabic being spoken in the house, and there like that uh,
yeah, yeah,
a culture that was not solely of here. I think changed my
yeah,
perspective from like some people who were American. You know.
yeah, and yeah. Not only that, but I'm also mixed. My mom is Jamaican and my dad is Australian,
Mm-hmm.
and that, like, having both of those worlds colliding in my household, living in Alabama where that was like exotic, if that, like, if that makes sense. Like, you're just like from a different fucking planet. Um,
are there like fewer immigrants where you're from than around here? Or?
it's. I mean, no, there's like,
I'm not really. I don't know that much about Alabama.
there's. Yeah, it's, well, that's good because I want to get into it. Like, um, there are a lot of different cultures where I live. It's just predominantly Southern, old money white. Um,
Yeah, that's the
I
stereotype when
like
it comes to Alabama.
pretty much, yeah. Um, I also live in a college town too, so that kind
That
of,
changes things.
uh, yeah, that kind of, like, there are definitely like poorer parts of Alabama, but I feel like, when it comes to the majority of people here, they are richer, and I kind of, that's another thing, is I didn't grow up very rich,
Mm-hmm.
and so like all of this is my experience from the perspective of being in America but not feeling like an
Mm-hmm.
American, if that makes sense. Just feeling like an alien to people. So yeah, that's kind of what I was like. All of this is just my personal experience too. You know what I'm saying? It's not like to comment on any sort of like social or political, stance or whatever. It's just like me describing what I go through. You know what I'm saying? What my life
Yeah.
is like. But I think there was something I wanted to say.
Oh
I
shit.
can't remember.
If it comes back to you, feel free to like blurt it out.
I bet. Nah, yeah. I mean, we can just
All
move
right.
on.
Uh, I guess we're moving on to another one of the singles now. Blood Sugar. It's got that sweet leaf sample at the very beginning. This one's slower. This one's a slow track.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to switch up the energy a little bit after that psychological torture.
Yep.
Um, I love this. Okay, I think I said Jihad was my favorite track, but I think this is my favorite track just because of how intimate it feels to me. Um, like I said, like talking about Voodoo, is very stripped down. Everything is supposed to be absorbed as you listen. Everything is, all the sounds, the different sounds are, being honored, like I said. Well, what it's describing is my experience with love, and I think it can kind of be gathered from like all my songs that I haven't had a very good experience with love. My parents divorced when I was a teenager. Um, I've had a few relationships that have not been good for me, and that's kind of what I was going into. Is just like how love can be so compelling, yet be the fucking worst thing
Mm-hmm.
to ever happen to you. Um, uh, and yeah, I wanted the sounds to match that, just like something kind of sexy, if
No,
for
I
lack of a
hear
better
it. Yeah.
term, but also just kind of disturbing and eerie. Um, and yeah, like, and then it goes into this beautiful solo that I recorded. It's all just supposed to be this. I call it a
Mm-hmm.
psychosexual experience, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
All right. So you get a bit more hip hoppy again with Tribeca, which is like you got that
hmm
kind of hyper pop chipmunk filter on. It's a bit more traditional of a beat again. Still very dark, still very
hmm
sound. I don't know if you want to just like go into what you were thinking on that one. You seem to have a lot to say about everything. I'm like trying
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
describe it, and I feel like I should let you do
yeah.
the
Okay.
describing.
No, well, I would love to hear your thoughts, like, cause you were spot on with a lot of the, I guess, observations that you're making. But yeah. So this song is describing my experience with addiction, specifically to like uppers, I guess. Like, I think I had this
Yeah.
job as a chef, and for those who have ever been like a line cook or a chef, you will probably understand what I'm talking about when everybody there is fucking coked up. You kind of have to be to well, I guess so. The restaurant that I was working at was like high end, and there was a lot of demand. There's a lot of orders. There's constantly 9 hours straight, no breaks, always on your feet, always running around. And so that's kind of how I got roped into doing that stuff. And luckily, I am out of that now. Um, but yeah, I'm just describing the feeling of things like what Adderall and Coke did to my brain, kind of. That's why I like use like the different vocal pitches and stuff like that. It's supposed to be very disorienting. Um, when it cuts off at the I gotta get high, like it's highlighting like how the high is the only thing that you're focusing on, I guess you could say. Um, and then also like the lyrics kind of going back to like my experience with love is like I'm talking about uh you know not any girl in particular, but like a girl, and how like addiction to that feeling, like both feelings of like love and feeling excited. I don't know how to explain this. It's so difficult. But yeah, that's what I was kind of trying to showcase. And that song is supposed to be more of a a pop, uh
It's like
almost
a
alternative song as well.
mhm.
So yeah.
It's definitely like yeah, out of all the tracks on the album we've talked about so far, I think that one's like the closest one to and it's not, it's 100% not there, but it's like the closest one to a straight rap song. Uh, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like this is like the one that you could show to like
Definitely, yeah.
someone who only
Definitely.
listens to alternative hip hop, and they'd be like intrigued by it, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I see that, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like what I was aiming for as well. Is like all the different tracks being their own little
It's
subsection
almost like you
of
created a new
different
subgenre with
genres and
every
stuff
track.
like
Like
that.
it's, I mean, I think the biggest, the more I interview people from uh our specific kind of scene within the internet, and the more I listen to the music they're putting out, the more I'm like convinced that within alternative music, like genre is dead. Like if you want to make something new that's like truly exciting, um,
Yeah.
you need to start pulling from everything you like to like make a new sound. I
Yeah.
kind of think when people say something like every idea has been done before,
You're wrong.
I I find that such a lazy like fucking,
Cop out.
it's such a cop out, right? Because like
Yeah.
sure, maybe like the baseline everything has been done before. I know for a fact that you can, there are combinations of things and like that haven't been mashed up before, you know? Like sure, maybe like hmm.
It's like saying like Mozart was the best composer, so nobody can compose anything greater than that. Like it reached its peak. Like that's so like uh baseless. Like you're not basing that off anything. Like new things come out every fucking day that like intrigue me more and more. Um
Yeah.
and that's kind of like the inspiration for the name of Omnimortem, because now I don't speak Latin, so if anybody wants to correct me, they can. But omni means all, and mortem means death. So for me, it means the death of everything, like the death of all expectations, the death of you know thinking that everything's been done, basically.
I'm trying to like develop my full take on this because I feel like this is kind of a new, because like I too would be like, oh, there's no new ideas, like nobody's, everything's been done before, but like great artists steal. Like if you talk to any artist, they're gonna tell you that like every bit of what they make is inspired by or like just taken from something else. A lot of like what's considered some of the best music of all time has bits and pieces of it that are like straight up rip-offs of something that's already been created. But at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, they took that and made something completely new with it. So it's not.
I'm kind of guilty of the same thing. Like, I mean, I don't steal from artists, but like when I hear something that I like or like I sample, I make sure to make it known that that is exactly what I'm referencing. Kind of like with the Charles Manson sample or the quote from Coldplay at the beginning.
Or the sweet leaf
Like,
sample, like it's undeniable what you're
yeah,
pulling from. Like if you've heard
exactly. Like,
sweet leaf before, like you know those coughs. You're not, nobody's being like,
yeah, like yeah. So the coughs. The reason why I put the coughs at the beginning is because that track is kind of like doomy. It's kind of like doom metal, kind of
yeah.
homage, I guess you could say. And when I do find inspiration, like heavy inspiration from other things, I make sure to pay that homage.
There you go. There you go right there. Like a lot of people who are into doom metal, when they want to make, when they want to like make music, they then will make doom metal. But you're into doom metal, and you took that and you made like a witch house track with that doom metal
Yeah,
influence,
exactly.
and like that along with the other shit that you're pulling from, you created a combination that
Has never been done.
it might sound like something else, but it's
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
that's new. That's something new. Like you're pulling from a high enough variety that like there's a 1 in fucking 18 trillion chance that anybody's gonna put that Rubik's cube together like the exact same way
Yeah.
you did.
And I think you know, all music is equal, but when it comes to, you know, the attention aspect, or just like, you know, there's some bands that are amazing that have like 100 listeners on Spotify. Uh
Yeah.
I think when it comes to like wanting to achieve greatness, you have to have that mindset of like, okay, I have this inspiration right here, but I'm not going to just completely make a flat out doom metal track. What if doom metal sounded like electronic fucking witch house? Like, that's where you start to break down the barriers and really achieve something new, and yeah, achieve greatness, I guess you could say.
All right. We can go on to All American now if you're ready.
Yes.
That one's a little grungy.
Yeah, that song is I'll start explaining it with a story. So I used to live in Indianapolis for a bit. I lived there for about a year. And
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of homelessness, and a lot of the homelessness was like veterans for whatever reason. And you know, sometimes I would go out and, you know, give some clothes to some of them, or give money to some of them. And I had this one guy like talk to me about how like his experience, um and how like it had been like his fifth winter in that city. And Indianapolis is in the Midwest. It gets down to like
It
five
gets cold.
degree. Well, yeah, when I was there, it got down to like 5 degrees, and I could not help but think like, is this guy good? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, kind of going back to how we were talking about America, I think this is what I wanted to go into. But I think for immigrants, or for anybody that isn't sort of in the upper echelon of like of Americans, like, we are told that there's this American dream. You know what I'm saying? Like, anything can be
Mm-hmm.
achieved uh when you come to America or living in America. And I just feel like it's so misleading, you know what I'm saying? Because a majority of the United States is, you know, even more now, becoming impoverished and homeless and addicted to drugs and dying.
Yeah.
And it's so, um you know, like, you have to be real with yourself, for lack of a better term. Like, you have to be
Mm-hmm.
real with what you're experiencing. And like, all American is basically just like, um you know, how people say like, oh, this is all American beef, or all American fucking
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah. It's like All American is used as a
Like, this is,
positive denoter most of the
yeah,
time, but like there's some other shit that's pretty All American that we don't call All American. You know,
yeah,
you could call mass
kind of push
shootings
to the
All
side.
American. You could call fucking
Exactly, bro. That's what
wealth
I'm talking
inequality
about.
All American. Those are very American things, but
Yeah.
we wouldn't call them All American because normally All American is a positive denoter.
Thank you. You said it beautifully.
Thank you, thank you.
That's exactly
I appreciate
that's
that.
exactly what I was going for. And so yeah, the thing I think, oh my god, I keep saying this about every track, but I was about to say I think this is my favorite. But
They're all your babies. You can't
yeah,
pick one.
I know, right? Jeez. But yeah, I have this sample. Uh, it's super disorienting at the beginning, and it's Whitney Houston, um, giving her acceptance speech at, I believe, the BET Awards.
Mm-hmm.
And she was super cracked out, super cracked out. I gotta send you the video, but she was just like super erratic, and me being an artist, that was kind of like a quick showcase of like my worry for myself getting into this industry of like how I don't want to be a spectacle while going through, you know, like the shit that everybody goes
Mm-hmm.
through, you know what I'm saying, like addiction and stuff like that. um so yeah, that was just like a quick little, like I wanted to like everything to like show like what America is, like the entertainment industry and stuff like that. But then there's a sample from a movie called Out of the Furnace. It's got Christian Bale and Casey Affleck and Woody Harrelson. You ever seen it?
No,
Oh, you should totally watch it, because it's like
I gotta get on that.
basically basically what I was talking about with like veterans. It's like these two brothers, and they're like extremely lower class, um, get into like underground like fighting and stuff like that. One of the brothers ended up dying, whatever, spoiler alert. But they have this conversation where uh he's like, why don't you just get a normal job? And he's like, like work? Like, I literally went to the Middle East and watched people get fucking murdered and stuff like that. Like, and what has this country done? Like, I'm still here. I'm back in this country, and it's almost like a different monster, a different, like a whole different thing to overcome and experience. And then the
That sample
helicopters.
kind of that
Yeah.
sample that you were just talking about, like I'm glad you gave me the movie it's from, because that fucking hit me, and like that felt like a pretty poignant point in the album, and like a very purposeful sample choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's and it's also like it's so funny because that's a movie, uh, for entertainment purposes and stuff
It's a
like that.
blockbuster. It's got Christian Bale in it. You
Yeah,
know,
like it's.
it's got Batman
I'm
in it.
peeling. I'm trying to peel back the layers. You know what I'm saying? Nothing that I put on this album should be taken at face value. Nothing. Like everything should be kind of thought about in different ways and stuff like that.
When I hear like a Manson quote, or like a serial killer sample in a song,
Hmm.
most of the time it's there solely for shock factor.
Yeah.
But like when I heard it here, not only do I know that like you're smarter than that, but also like it was kind of your placement for it wasn't just like at the beginning of a song that was then gonna have some fucking violent riff in it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I find, I don't know, as I know I run a podcast that like um interviews metal bands, and I film a lot of metal bands, but and I like a lot of extreme genres, but like fucking some of like the true crime influence that comes in is just a little like brain dead and tasteless at times.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
um. Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I'm
Yeah.
saying that you
But
did the right way. You like you were
no. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
wanted the cultural impact of that as opposed to the shock value of it.
Yeah. I was just thinking, like, when you said that, I was just thinking about all the bands that I could think of that I'm like,
Oh,
yeah,
there's plenty that like
that's who he's talking
I
about.
enjoy, you know? Like there's plenty that I like,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
still just kind of like
There's some that go right off the cliff, bro.
yeah, it's some, I don't know, it's like some 4chaner shit, you know. I would have thought it was like edgy when I was fucking 16, but like
Yeah. Yeah, and I hope if this album kind of gets more popular,
Yeah.
I hope that what I chose, like stuff like samples like
Mm-hmm.
that, to not be interpreted. I wanna put that on record. Nothing is supposed to uh, honor violence in any
Mm-hmm.
way or anything. Um, it's not supposed to honor drug use. It's not supposed to honor um, toxic relationships at all. Like, it's just supposed to shed a light on the experience. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
There's a
but
there's a local band around here that I've taken some photos. Oh, I did a shoot for them. What am I talking about? I there's a you can go and check it out on the Bughead channel. There's a set from the band Troll Milk, which is like a local kind of blackened
yeah, yeah.
crust punk band from around here.
Mm-hmm.
And the before one of the songs, I forget exactly which one, the front man, the vocalist, comes out and he's like, um, sometimes people do drugs and it is, and that's what this song's about. And I think that's like a bit more of a an interesting place to observe topics like that, as opposed to like it's
Mm-hmm.
good or it's bad or anything like that. Like I think that's what you're kind of trying to say, because you have
Yeah, yeah,
multiple experiences with drugs, both negative and positive, kind of looked at from an
yeah,
outside perspective in this album.
yeah, yeah,
You're trying to look at them
yeah.
with like some
Definitely.
objectivity.
Because like with drugs, like it might sound insensitive to say this, but this is like my personal experience. There is like no winner or loser with especially like hard drug use, like drug use. Because let's take like
Mm-hmm.
heroin for an example. Like there's a big heroin epidemic. Um, So like somebody who's addicted to heroin, it can completely ruin their life. You know what I'm saying? They might have to go live on the street just to stay alive
Afford their
and
habit, yeah.
you know yeah, afford their habit. And but let's say like heroin were to just all of it were just to fucking disappear, more people would get sick and die, like just from not having
Mm-hmm.
it, if that makes sense. Like that's been my observation and experience is like, and it's not the fault of the user either. Like I put the fault on big pharma and like the industry, where like the easiest way to take care of any ailment is to just give someone
My
fucking morphine
I got my wisdom
or
teeth out
whatever. Like,
recently, and they gave me like maybe a little too much of a pretty weak opiate painkiller, just like the Advil with the codeine in it. And
mm-hmm.
I guess the point that I'm trying to make more is that I was talking to my cousin, and they gave, and my dad, and both of them got like 40 Vicodin for getting their wisdom teeth out. And it's like I'm sitting here, I took
Yeah,
I, maybe like a couple of the fucking painkillers so I could get to sleep, and like I have like 19 more that I'm just gonna have to flush down the toilet or like throw in the cat litter. What the fuck is somebody doing with 40 Vicodin for a fucking like wisdom teeth removal?
okay. I don't want to be taken as like a fucking conspiracy theorist, but like, do you? There's a reason for that. Like, do you not think there's a reason for that?
Yeah, no, they get paid on the doctors get paid commission. They have like contracts and deals with these drug manufacturers to prescribe a certain amount, and they get a payout. That's like
Yeah,
factual. That's documented. Um, there's been
yeah,
legal battles about that, but like who has more money to fucking win that? You know?
yeah. And so like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
all of that just plays a part in like in all of this. Oh, okay, yeah, I wanted to like talk
Hmm.
about the helicopters. So like, uh, during All American, there's like
Hmm.
a helicopter like kind of going the entire time, like
Hmm.
during the sample, I guess, and like it sounds like it's gonna be like this heavy song. The bass comes in and whatnot, but then the helicopters, like it sounds like it like flies away. Basically, it's like, and then it just flies away, and it goes into this almost ballad type song, extremely hypnotic, uh, talking about my experience in America. Basically, let me think about the lyrics. Um, yeah, do you want to know what it's like to live in hell? Sometimes I stay awake for days on end. Sometimes I want to blow off my head. Schizophrenia is my only friend. My only talent is complaining to myself. That's what I feel like America promotes the most is like
Loneliness and isolation.
uh, just discontentedness, loneliness, isolation. Um, everything has a price. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to be something in this world, you got to make money. And I feel like that's why so many people, especially like Gen Z, I guess, are just kind of struggling to uh, adapt to, I guess, because none of that really fucking matters. Like when it comes to just being a human being and being alive, like nobody chose to be born. You know what I'm saying? Nobody chose to have their, like
Hmm.
expectations. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, that's kind of what I was highlighting in that. And then I wanted to, juxtapose that with like a sweet, almost melancholic sounding song, like something peaceful, something relaxing. Uh, if that makes sense. Like I
Yeah.
wanted to show the contrast between like the jarring opening and then like this peaceful, almost euphoric, uh, what it ends up being. I can't remember what's next. Oh yeah, it's Zion.
Zion, another one of the singles. All right. Zion feels a bit more like what you were doing with Voodoo and Jihad, where it's kind of like a bigger, a little bit louder, a little bit denser.
Yeah,
But like, it's very like
I was
drony
kind of
and
bringing the album back up to speed.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's still drony. It's still got you kind of got that like grunge guitar melody going,
hell yeah,
but it's kind of structured and has that repetition of like a hip hop song. It brings the album
yeah,
back up to speed, and then it like acts as really well as another single. That's why you have it out right now.
yeah, yeah. Uh, I just want to say you're very perceptive and very
Thank
intelligent,
you.
and
I really appreciate
I
it.
admire that.
I hate interviews where like the interviewer comes in and is just like isn't familiar with like the scene or like the artists that they're
Mm-hmm.
talking about. I think the biggest example I have of that, if you don't mind me talking about this for a second, is like I don't even think
Mm-hmm.
this is a particularly bad interview, but in the Skull Candy 100 Gex interview, the band has to explain to the interviewer what Nightcore is,
Oh yeah,
and it's like I never want to be the guy who's interviewing fucking someone like 100 Gex and not knowing what Nightcore is. Like you should know that.
I think I know what you're talking about too.
And it's
I
not
think
like
I've
it's not
seen
like a
that. Yeah,
horrible interview. It's just like that seems like a cultural touchstone that you should know about if you're going to
yeah.
act as an authority on this.
Well, yeah, that's why like yeah, we have so much of that going on in the industry right now that's why I just wanted to say like thank you basically
You're welcome.
because you're fucking nailing it. Like everything that I wanted to, you know, get across with this fucking body of work that I've been working on for like a year and a half, you're fucking nailing it. So thank you. Like I appreciate it.
I appreciate the chance to like I fucking love the album, by the way. We're not even through all the songs yet, but I love the album, by the way. And it's
Mm.
cool to kind of have like some of the holes in my understanding of it um filled in, you know? Cuz like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
listened to it, I think I got it, but like did I like get there was still like shit, I don't know. You get what I mean? Like there's still shit in there that like
Yeah.
I probably will never fully 100% grasp. And that's you can't ever fully 100% grasp like any piece of art. That's kind of innate to it, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, once it comes out, like, it's like accessible
Mm-hmm.
whenever. So, like, yeah, I think the more that you or anybody listens to it, the more that they will understand it. Um, so yeah, I'm glad I could fill in the holes though with this interview. I love talking about it. Uh, but yeah, so Zion, um, that's more of just like that's more of a song that's just supposed to be like ear candy. It's not supposed to be anything like uh
Too deep.
you know too deep. Yeah, nothing too deep, just something fun. It's really fun to speed on the highway to. I think that's kind of the purpose of it
I think it
is
would work
like
good in like a skate
I like
video.
to drive very fast.
It's got a good
Yeah,
tempo for
yeah.
that.
It's very just like
For
it's
like
just
some
energy, you
lines.
know? It's just
Yeah.
energy. Yeah, yeah. Definitely. Um we should totally what you were talking about in DMs. We should totally get some videos together. I'm gonna come up to uh the north at some point, and
I'm
we gotta skate
100% down.
for sure. Cause that song, yeah. Now that you're saying it, like that song is very it's very energetic and very grungy,
Without
very
the
good for
tempo
that
being too
mood.
fast, because if you get a little too quick with the tempo,
Yeah.
a little too aggressive with the sound, like if somebody's not hucking every single
Mm-hmm.
clip down like 10 stairs, it gets a little weird looking. Like I'd feel weird
Yeah, yeah.
using like a grindcore song on chill ledge lines, but that would be perfect for that.
Yeah, yeah.
I,
Yeah, dude. No, that would no. Now that you're
I
saying
should
that,
just
bro,
do
that
that
sounds
anyways.
fucking fire. I'm gonna try that. Yeah,
Just use a fucking
yeah.
like discordance. I just use a
Yeah,
full
that
of
sounds
hell
so
song to
sick.
like it's just somebody
Yeah.
doing like some
Holy
like
shit. No, please
on
do
some
that. That would
slow
be
ass
so
like
fucking
Boston
funny.
ledge line skating. Someone doing like flip in, flip out,
Yeah.
fucking flip trick down the three stair at eggs. God damn.
Yeah.
You only ever hear
Oh
like
my
boom
god.
bap hip hop to that shit. Uh
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
nah, no,
Like
like
lo-fi hip
90s,
hop.
like people in a lot of like a lot of the ledge
Oh
guys
yeah.
in
Oh
Boston, the
yeah,
ledge
yeah, yeah.
skaters in Boston, and love Griselda, like Griselda shit. They love Benny the Butcher. They love West Side Gun, which like me too, but like
Oh hell yeah.
I'm getting a little.
Yeah. That's
I don't know.
interesting.
I'm kind of tired of hearing boom bap hip hop and skate videos, which like
That's so
screamo is now like the trendy thing to put in your video, which I actually
really. What the
I'm kind of
fuck?
down for. Oh, if you go through like I'll send you some shit, I'll show you some shit. If you go through like the cool indie videos right now, even like the new guy on the new pro for girl, his pro part has like some scram song, like some legit scram songs in there.
Yeah.
It's I think like some fucking how like DIY like emo core
Uh huh.
is fucking gonna have a if it's popular with skateboarders right now, it's gonna be popular with like the underground in general
Yeah.
in a year or two.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I see what you're saying. It's really interesting though because like it's interesting the difference in skate cultures like in Alabama and up north because like it's a totally
Mm-hmm.
different experience for me here. But yeah. Yeah, we can get back into. Oh,
It's
sorry.
a it's like a different. We can talk about skateboarding. I'm a fucking nerd. It's like a different experience. Skating in like in Boston compared to the rest of Massachusetts.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like if you go a little bit more west or like just further out from Boston, like if you go out to Worcester, which is the second biggest city in Massachusetts, like I feel like the skate scene out there is a bit more like tuned into the DIY music and hardcore
Mm-hmm.
scene, whereas in Boston, it's a bit more connected to like the mainstream, like I guess what you consider like the mainstream skate industry, even though like it's Boston, so we're not getting that much
Yeah.
attention. But like if you go out to the rest of the state, it feels uh, a bit more
Mm-hmm.
grassroots.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sure that's the same with like most states with like major metropolitan cities in them. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure upstate New York has a way more grassroots scene over in like Albany than it does in fucking NYC,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Anyways, now we can get back to the album.
Food for
Uh,
thought.
do you have anything more to say about Zion?
uh no, just drive very fast to it. It's fun.
Drive very fast
Yeah.
to it.
Each song has
Drive
a
very fast on I-95, I-85 North. Shit, I said
I
I-95 North
ninety
because
five.
that's the fucking highway near me.
Oh really?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
but I-85 North.
Definitely drive
That
fast to
one's
that one. That one's fun. Yeah, so that song is uh okay, this is funny. This is a funny little fun fact.
I love this song. This one might be my favorite.
Then this will oh really? This will probably surprise you.
Yeah.
So the album was done without that song, and
Mhm.
I was listening to the entirety of it, and I realized I don't like the flow. I need another song. So I made
Oh
that song
shit.
in 2 fucking hours. And then I
Holy
just like
shit.
yeah, I was like, fuck it, let me just go in, I'll make whatever. I wanted something like more lighthearted. I wanted like a radio hit type song, if that makes sense. Like I had a lot of deep cuts, and Tribeca was the most kind of socially appealing song in my opinion
Mhm.
before that. Um and I was like, yeah, no, I just need one more. So yeah, I cranked that out. But yeah, that song is
You got that like forlorn guitar at the beginning, and then it
yeah,
gets into like the super techno-y like fucking Club Siberia sounding beat.
yeah,
That shit's I like that song a lot. It's one of
yeah,
my favorites. I think which song's my like ultimate favorite on the album is gonna change depending on the mood I'm in. But
yeah,
I-85 North's a banger.
yeah. So what the fuck? So I've been listening to a lot of like 3 Days Grace, and like
Fuck yeah, dude.
and like Breaking Benjamin. Like I've been getting
Oh
back into
no,
them.
dude, no. I fucking I never I loved 3 Days Grace when I was like in middle school. Fucking I've always been a Breaking Benjamin hater. That shit.
What, dude? What the fuck? Come on now, dude. They're fucking great.
Breaking
Nah, well,
Benjamin.
no, they're cringy as fuck though. It's just like, it's just the the era, bro. It's just like
That
you gotta be there.
I'm very picky with like my music from that era that I like.
Yeah,
If I didn't grow up with it, which I didn't grow up listening to Breaking Benjamin, it's got to
yeah,
be like really good for me to like it. Like I
yeah,
fucking we both have talked about this like just in the DMs, but like I feel Godsmack's kind of that era, and they're like
yeah,
they're from Boston. That's like it's like they got played on Boston rock radio a
yeah.
fuck ton growing up. So like despite the fact that like a lot of people say that Godsmack is uh not a good band, I like
Well, I mean, let's
fucking
be
the
honest
song
here.
Voodoo Dude. The song Voodoo Dude,
Yeah.
kind of a banger, kind of a banger. Fucking
No, dude, I love Godsmack, but like I can't I can't deny that they're a little fucking
oh, that they're
cringy.
cringe?
Like,
Absolutely, dude.
yeah.
Godsmack is absolutely cringe.
Yeah, dude. But like, yeah, that's kind of like, what's the song? Um, I Hate Everything About You. Yeah. You know how it opens up with the acoustic?
Yeah.
It's like doo doo down down doo doo. I was like, yeah, I wanna make a riff like that. So I just like sat down with my acoustic guitar, fucking played something catchy, sung over it, and then I wanted it to kind of go into something a little more like 80s goth, if that makes sense. Not goth, but like kind of like The Cure. I
Yeah.
don't know, like
That's
with the
goth.
drums,
Yeah.
like the snare especially, kind of like sounds like of that era. Um, yeah, I made it really light on the, there's not a lot of like low end, so that when it goes into that uh pre-chorus of like, and I know it's not the best that I could do, like it kind of starts to transport you out, and then when it drops, when that bass hits, bro, that's the most like surprising and kind of just like um exciting part, is like it's so empty in the bass area at the beginning, and then when it drops, it's just like it just fucking consumes you with like this extremely hardcore electronic bass, you know, kind of almost like EDM ish, like Skrillex, because
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
not like the chorus doesn't have like, it's just kind of repeats um what's going on, and then yeah, then goes back into the next verse. Yeah, that's just a very like kind of radio hit poppy kind of song that I wanted a palate cleanser, if that makes sense.
Yeah. For like the second to last song.
Yeah.
What is?
And also like the name.
Yeah. What is? I need to know about the name. 'Cause that clearly has some
Yeah,
context behind it.
so so I-85 is like the highway here that takes you up like the north, I
Yeah.
guess. Like for me, I head towards Atlanta and then it goes up from there. Um and yeah, so like the entire album has kind of been this experience, like this complete experience, the complete Domino experience of like what I've been living through since Nadir and stuff like that. And my lease is up in August, and I'm going to be departing this fucking awful state. I'm going to be going up north and doing what I love. So
Are
it's kind of
you still moving to Boston?
that. Yeah, well, I'll be in between like a few different places,
Gotcha.
and of course traveling a lot. So, but yeah, I'm gonna be in Boston, like staying in Boston for a
That.
bit. But yeah, we got a link. But yeah, so that's kind of what the name means, is like the departure from this experience and kind of like on to the next thing. Like the next album will probably be a lot different than what this was. So yeah, that's kind of what it means.
All right. What the fuck is a Chauncey Serpent? What is that? What does that mean?
Yeah. Okay. It's kind of it's kind of like an odd explanation, but yeah, this entire album has kind of been like my
hmm
psychedelic like experience. And so the first time I took acid was in New York, actually, and we were walking around Brooklyn, and there is a station that like we were close to, that we would have to go to if we wanted to like go anywhere else, and it was Chauncey Street. um and so I got on this train, and I felt like I was in the
So
stomach of a
the train
serpent,
is was the
and it was
Chauncey Serpent.
yeah, the Chauncey Street Serpent, where I got on this thing and I felt like I was in this fucking like animal, and it was transporting me to a different, like like if you ever like done psychedelics, you know, like you're kind of spatially unaware, like your object permanence kind of leaves. So getting on this train felt like the only thing that existed. I also felt like I was on the train for like 400 fucking years. It was weird. Um, but yeah, went to this club, had a great night. Came back and made that track also in about like 2 hours. And that's just more of me like showcasing my production. It's like just another instrumental. And like the sample is from this awesome band called, oh shit, I think it's the Devil's Witches. But the song, yeah, the song is called Porno Witch, and it's like they're like a melodic doom band, I would say. Yeah, but the song is just kind of like when I got out of this entire experience of like this acid trip where I was like transported to this fucking crazy, night, and sitting down and making it. I don't know. That's just like it's like a portrait of all of that, of that entire experience. Is like I sat down and I made a song that paints what all of that was. It's very, relaxing at some points. Like the kick kind of booms. It's like I'm trying to think. Like it's like it sounds like it's coming out of a stadium. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like it's like booming. But yeah, it's just supposed to be this kind of like spiritual, psychedelic experience. It go like, and then it goes into that part where, like, the bass is just kind of crushing you, and everything's being chopped up, and there's like these screams and whatnot. I think it kind of sounds like Arca sometimes, but yeah, and then it fades out into this sample from the Exorcist soundtrack. That's also like paying homage to my old Instagram that got taken down. Fuck Instagram, fuck Mark Zuckerberg.
He's a lizard man. He's a fucking android. Get rid of that guy.
Yeah, lizard man, bro. Fuck you, bro. And also, you did not win that jiu-jitsu competition, bro. You paid
damn, going for the throat.
Yeah, dude, I got a lot to say about him, but yeah, my old Instagram was Exorcist Poppy, and it was like a joke, like how Drake is like Champagne Poppy, and I'm like, I don't know, just like. Thought it was funny.
You've got Exorcist vibes as opposed to champagne drinking vibes.
Champagne, yeah, yeah, basically. I don't know. He like, I also like hate that he thinks he's Jamaican. So I was like, nah, I'm gonna like have a more iconic Instagram name than you. Like, yeah, you had the Champagne Poppy, but I'm gonna have like the Exorcist Poppy. I don't know. I'm like kind of stupid sometimes, but yeah. I'm really Jamaican Drake, so yeah. Also, I am high as fuck right now. Like I'm smoking like while we've been doing this. I don't know if you can tell, so that's kind of why I'm like all over the place.
You're good. You've been able to explain yourself.
Oh, okay, good. I can't like hold a coherent thought right now, but yeah, it fades out into The Exorcist, like the little like things, and I felt like that was a great ending to the entirety of like what was just experienced in that 35 minutes of music.
Is it 35 minutes?
I believe so.
I believe that's a pretty decent length for an album. How long was
Yeah, not too long.
Was
like I hate when Nadir was like 29 minutes actually. It was a lot shorter.
Okay. Yeah, it's like a perfect
Yeah.
length, not too long, not too short.
Yeah, I hate when like people have albums that are like fucking 20 songs long and you get like a good 3 out of them. Like I definitely wanted quality over quantity for this album.
There's like a handful of people who can pull that off, having like a ton of songs
Yeah.
on their album.
Yeah. Well, oh, yeah. So Yeezus was like a huge inspiration for like how I wanted to like hold a mindset making like
It's the
this
best
album
Kanye album.
because it is, in my opinion, because like you had all the like Watch the Throne and Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, whatever, and like that put him like at the top, like he was like the king of Hollywood and entertainment, and he could have done anything, but yet he decided to kind of like delve into the underbelly of like the rising genres at the time. Like I think he was inspired by, I think I read somewhere he was inspired by death
Yeah.
grips. He got Jack Donahue for Black Skinhead. Jack Donahue has credits on Black Skinhead. That's the guy from Salem.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, one of the members. He got like, I can't remember, but like, yeah, I wanted to have that kind of like fearlessness because like, if I was, at the top of the world, I wouldn't want to make like the safe decision. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to have that mindset of like, how do I be fearless and how do I challenge like norms? Because I feel like in any area, like you should want to update and challenge things, if that makes sense. Like I think that the underground is, I think we talked about this in the last interview, but I think like everything right now is kind of derivative and uninteresting, and like I think people need to have a new mindset, like more sophisticated than just purely anti everything, you know what I'm saying? I feel like everything's become so gimmicky now. I don't know. So yeah, I wanted to, I didn't want to, I wanted to be more sophisticated and more tasteful. Yeah.
All right. We've been going for a good while now. Is there anything else that you want to say about the album?
No. Like I just want people to respect it. If you don't like it, like I respect that. So like, but I want people to realize like how much effort and how much thought and how much this, like how much just my entire being that I've put into this, you know what I'm saying? So like, yeah. If you like it, I love you. If you don't like it, I love you.
All right. Check out Voodoo when it comes out on, what's the date again?
June 12th.
June 12th, 2023. And we'll catch you next time on the Bughead Podcast. Thanks for listening.
I